This is why I got popular. It's because I filled a void that none of you were able to do.
Okay, so what you've done here,
Yep.
Shut the fuck up. What you've done here is you've made me...
Oh shit, hey, what's up?
Hey, what up?
Hey.
My duders. Okay.
Hello.
Let's set some ground rules before
Here
we
we go.
before we start. Let's set some ground rules, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Number one, every analogy I use is clear and purposeful. If you don't understand it or you think it doesn't apply, please correct me immediately, and I will explain why I believe it applies. If you think that what I'm using is bizarre or you think it doesn't fit, then don't engage with it. Tell me why you don't think it fits, and we'll either find another analogy or I'll explain why it does. That's rule number one. Rule number two, if I use a word that is too big for you, or you think that I'm trying to obfuscate or cause confusion about a point, then tell me. Do not hide behind this idea that I use big words to make things sound confusing. Literally, one of the largest strengths that I have as a streamer over my 9 years of doing this is that I am incredibly good at breaking down complicated topics in ways that everybody can understand. It is literally my number one strength.
Would you say that you can break down the perfunctory manner in which our general malaise is...
honest to God, I don't know what malaise means. What is that, like your day-to-day living or whatever?
Wait. So
What?
you have better words than us, but you don't know that word?
I'm not the one that's claiming that I have better words than you. You're the one that said that I hide behind...
You just came in here and you're like, here's some ground rules. You must understand that I have big words and I use them. What, are you fucking kidding me? No, fuck off.
So in the video that you made, where you pretended to be me, you literally gave one of the straw men...
Not just you, for God's sake.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's not just me. You just put on a hoodie to look like me, and you literally copied my background and were imitating getting Twitch bits for saying things. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be me, but for some reason,
No,
I think
I
a
mean,
lot
it's
of people
supposed
will
to-
walk away from that
supposed to
video with the
go.
impression that you're probably kind of like showing some of my talking points. I think that's a fair assessment, okay?
Oh, I am using your talking points, though.
Well, no, I'm contesting
These
right
are
now.
your talking points?
No, I'm saying that you are claiming these are my talking points. I don't believe these are my talking points. I believe these are highly idealized, super strawman versions of my talking points, and we'll walk through them.
All right, let's go.
Okay, cool. Well, I only made it about 25 minutes of the way through the video. I don't have health insurance coverage, so I'm too scared to watch the rest. So we'll just go over the first half plus, because I will probably not even gonna make it through half of this, but that's fine. Okay. So I noticed in the beginning. So okay, and also please hold on. If you disagree with something I say, don't run away from all your points and then take 20 showers to think of the perfect response and then make another video shitting on me later. If you disagree, say it now. Or you can say it now that you disagree and make a video shitting on me. But please don't pussy out of all of your points and then make a video later and be like, oh, well, this is everything you said that was so stupid and so wrong. There are 3 of you here. I don't know if Lucid Fox is participating. If I say something dumb, between all your brains combined, you should be able to figure it out and tell me why I'm wrong about something or give me something to think about, okay? I don't think I'm smarter than all of you combined, even though you seem to think I think of myself as a highly intellectual, big brain person. But so
Well, you did just come in here and say, like, ground rules. I know big words.
No, I set that as a ground rule because I noticed that a lot of the times when I talk to people that end up having shit arguments, you all hide behind the same set of excuses. You guys did it, the Nazis do it, the dumb centrists do it, where you say,
You're
oh...
literally making an excuse up front, though, saying, like, your arguments are so good because you have good words.
No. I'm sorry. Hold on. Let me back up and say this way slower because I see we're already getting lost, okay? If you disagree with an argument, or if you think I'm using language to cause confusion about a particular point, tell me. Don't get confused by a point I make now, and then later say, oh, Destiny just hides behind big words when he debates. Because a lot of people do that. A lot of people walk away and they say, oh, he used debate tactics. Oh, he used big words. That is not true. I let people... Yeah, go ahead.
You're saying that other people do a thing that I'm not going to do?
No, you've already done this in your video.
You're ascribing this to me. Yeah, this is the point.
You've already...
Like, you're taking a problem that you have with other people. I'm not going to complain about your language at all. I have a good vocabulary.
Then why in your video did you say, big words, bits donation, haha?
Because you do realize that you're validating your audience who does also have big words, right?
No.
That's the point.
So, okay, so then you do admit that it's a claim that you made about me. Why did you just say that it wasn't about me? And then say that, well, you do this for your audience. Which one is it? You have to pick one.
Like, what do you want? Like, what answer do you want?
So
like,
are you accusing me of using big words to make my arguments more confusing because my audience can follow it?
I'm saying you use big words because your audience likes it. That's not really a big deal, I don't think.
Do you think that I use big words to intentionally muddy the waters? Or do you think I just use
Not
big...
necessarily.
Then why would you
I think
include it
that
as an
everybody-
argumentation against me? If you
because
just
at the end
think
of
I
the
use
day-
big words, why would you put that in a video unless you thought that I was doing it in an illegitimate manner? When you present that alongside a ton of other arguments that you perceive as illegitimate, you think it's pretty easy for me to see that, oh, he says I say big words. Like if I were to go up to someone and say, oh, that dude, he's a Nazi, he's a pedophile, he's a child abuser, and he's a clown.
Okay,
Somebody would
so-
probably look at that and go like, well, what the fuck is wrong with clowns? You'd be like, well, nothing's wrong with clowns. I just decided to list it alongside all those other negative traits, right? You don't think that I could read that as you saying that I use...
using big words is a lot like being a pedophile.
Okay, let me extract this and okay, this is great. We're at our first analogy, okay? If I'm describing something, some object, and I say, "Hey, here's trait A, B, C, and D," and all of those traits are
Okay.
universally negative. And then I say, and he also has trait E. Do you think it would be fair to assume E is probably negative like the other listed traits? Or do you think that I shouldn't assume that at all?
Well, I'm not sure exactly what the point here is.
Okay,
Is,
let
I
me
guess,
try it
my-
one more
if
time.
you-
That's
if
okay.
you
No.
don't mind slowing down.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it with three examples. Let's say that I say,
Sure.
let's say somebody goes like, oh, well, what do you think about this person? I go, oh, I don't like that person. They have trait A, B, and C. Let's say that A and B are very negative traits, and then C is like,
Okay.
We would probably assume that C is a negative trait as well because it's listed alongside
Okay,
other negative.
I get what you're getting at.
Okay, so when you tell me when you make a video and you present all of these horrible things about the points I'm making, and you also say Andy says big words, it kind of seems like you're accusing me of just saying big words to muddy the waters. I'm not doing it in a legitimate
So
fashion.
you don't think that it's funny that I said that?
We're
Monkey
not
boy
talking about
feet.
whether it's funny or not. We're talking about whether it's a valid attack on my position, right?
Well, it's
From,
not
from my point of
fully-
view, I think what you're going for, Destiny, is maybe not understanding the performative nature of the video, where he's trying to do it more for like a sense of parody than a actual
Like, it
hit
is-
piece, right? Like
Okay, can you
Yeah,
identify
again-
so that we don't waste any time, okay? Because we've already begun the backpedaling. That's fine. Can you identify what other arguments are used in this video just for comedy so that I don't have to waste my time addressing them?
Okay,
Because
the
holy
sec-
fuck,
okay.
what a waste of my time. Oh my god. Tell me which arguments are about the memes and the jokes now so that I don't have to waste my time addressing them. Or is that the only one?
Every time that I'm on screen, that is the comedy elements of it, and every time I'm off screen, I'm addressing something that has nothing to do with you.
Okay, so every time, so your arguments about whether or not I'm saying people are stupid or people can't deal with facts or that people
it's not
pick...
just you, dude.
Okay,
It's an aggregate.
I'm sorry,
There
it's-
are a lot of people. Like that's literally like
Okay,
how
sure.
people operate on Twitter.
so okay, hold on. Okay, so let's back up and ask another question. Are you saying that this video doesn't target me specifically a little
Oh, it
bit more than...
definitely does that. It definitely.
Then why are
uses
you saying it's an
image.
aggregate when it's the example that you're trying to counter, the 70 workers who are white versus the 30 workers that are black, is literally an example from one of my debates. So
Oh yeah, well it was from our debate because I went into my other arguments with that because I think it's silly.
okay, so in some ways it is about me. It's not just an aggregate. You've
Yes,
chosen me
correct.
as the focal
Yes,
figure
you're part
to
of the aggregate. Yes.
Okay. That's
you know
not
those
no. That's not how that
Hybrids,
that
you know, where
sentence
they
that you
show,
just
like,
made.
part of a thing?
No, that
Like,
sentence
you're
that
like
you just
part-
made.
You're like a pie
Okay.
in the pie chart.
No. That sentence that
Yes,
you
yes,
just
yes, yes,
made
yes.
doesn't make sense. If I see a black guy walk into my store and I say, I'm going to arrest you for stealing, and he goes, whoa, I don't steal. And I go, well, statistically speaking, black people steal more than white people. And you go, whoa, that's not fair to group me in with the aggregate. And I go, ha, you're part of the aggregate, buddy. That's not how that works, right?
That's the
Yeah.
same.
That is exactly the same. That's what you're saying. You're telling me
That's
that
exactly the same.
you
think
are
that's
both
exactly
you
the
are
same.
both
I think that's
specific.
exactly the same.
So you have both.
You think that the context of that is worth comparing to the context of what I just set up? That's utterly ridiculous.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great. Let me go ahead and explain why. So you are specifically putting me as a figure that you're targeting, okay? You've done it by using my analogies and by using an image of me that is like literally
You're
copying-
literally arguing against what comedy is, dude. I exaggerated.
Okay,
all
wait,
of this
okay.
shit
That's
because
wait.
it's funny.
That's great. Then let's
It's
back up
funny.
again. Okay, that's awesome. So can we go back to the other thing I said? Tell me which parts of this video I'm not supposed to take seriously. This is like the Trump defense. Tell me which parts of this video are just comedy so we don't have to waste time arguing about them.
Okay.
You're literally
don't-
using a
don't
Steven
argue
Crowder
with
argument.
The image of yourself, then.
Okay.
That's what you need to do.
Then why are you using that image of myself to launch legitimate
Because
counter arguments?
What are you doing right now? What are you doing right now with me? What are you doing? You are literally talking to your audience filled with 4,500 people, and you're literally giving me attention. That was the point. You figured it out.
So the whole video is just a meme for attention. You don't actually believe in any of the lefty bullshit.
Oh,
Hey,
no,
listen, if you admit that shit, then you know what? Amen, brother. If you want to tell me, because literally, this is actually so meta, because you accuse me in your video of grifting, but in reality, you're the grifter. You just do it for fucking memes. Is that what's going on here?
Just, I know how to use you because I know exactly what you do. You literally troll around on Twitter all fucking day trying to find shit that you think people are going to get angry about, and then you bring it onto your stream, and then you get people angry, and then you bring them on, you put them onto your screen, and you're like, oh, but what's this? And then you try to put on the best person, the best view of it, the best idea of it. And you know what? Lots of people concede because it's actually usually a rational position.
Okay,
and you know
I have lost jobs. Okay, I have lost positions in corporations.
I've also lost jobs.
No, because you're accusing
too.
the least grifting person in the world of grifting right now. Like,
Dude,
I'm
you
not
troll Twitter for shit. No, don't even start.
You
No,
say
I'm
that I troll Twitter, but when I brought you on here, to
absolutely not accepting that premise.
when I brought you on here to
No,
talk, okay.
no,
Let's
no.
wait. Okay, go
I
ahead and
said
find a
you're
Twitter
not
take that I've
no,
given.
I'm not
Find a Twitter
taking
take
it.
that I've given that you can
flat out
disagree with.
I'm not listening to it.
Okay.
I'm not listening to it.
Okay.
It's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. You
Wait, which part is bullshit? I want you to find one of my Twitter takes that you don't think I'll defend right now. I'll do it. We'll wait. I'll wait 20 minutes. All three of you can go and search my Twitter and find one fucking take that I've given that you don't think I'll defend.
Dude.
Yeah?
I don't think that you're saying things you don't believe. I think that you're saying things in the most spicy way you can in order to bring other people in that will be angry at it.
But
and
the
then
difference is,
you
the
modify
difference is between me and you is that when people come onto my platform to attack me about what I've said on Twitter, I'll defend every single thing I said. But you're sitting here, it was comedy, dude. It was just a joke. It was just comedy, man.
Correct.
You've already
Correct.
You're backpedaling off of your shower arguments. How can you even do that? It's like a hypothetical backpedal off of arguments that haven't even really happened.
No, dude. So, like, there shouldn't be, like, Saturday Night Live. There shouldn't be, like, The Daily Show. Those things shouldn't exist because, like, if you phrase something in a manner that is slightly exaggeratory or in a manner that isn't exactly the thing that you mean, for the
It's
sake
not
of comedy,
about
that shouldn't
being
exist.
It's not about being exactly the same as my argument. It's about totally missing the character of my argument. You're totally mischaracterizing it, and you're missing the essence of every single thing I'm
You're
arguing.
missing the character of like the character.
That it's all comedy and none of it is real, and I shouldn't take any point seriously out of all of this.
No, that's not true. You should take it seriously. But you shouldn't take it seriously in the way that you're taking it seriously.
Okay, sorry. Tell me, Trump, how am I supposed to take this seriously?
You should take this seriously as, yes, this is something that is not necessarily the worst thing in the world for me. This is not a personal attack. I'm not actually coming at you as though
I didn't say it was the worst thing in the world for me, okay? None of this hurts me or
you're
damages
sure
me.
acting like it.
No,
You're
I'm
literally
acting
coming
like
at
I
this-
have a set of...
You're making Google Docs, dude. You're literally you're acting as though this is an important thing in your life. It's not.
It
It's
is.
not
This
an
is my
important thing in your
job.
life.
This has been my job for 9 years.
No,
I
it's
care about what I
not.
talk about. Yeah,
My
I do.
video is not your job.
People that respond to my positions in critical ways require me to critically analyze them. And politics is probably the majority of why I'm not online. So yeah, to some extent, this kind of punditry,
No,
whatever you call it,
this
is my job. Okay,
I'm
cool. Then we're both
pointing
doing
out
our jobs
what
right now.
you do.
Don't hide behind it and say it's just comedy. This is what we do for work.
Okay, so like what I just said was not. This is not. Look, I like you're arguing with something that I didn't say.
Wait, what did I just argue with that you didn't say?
You just said don't hide behind it, saying it's just comedy.
You
it's
literally,
your job.
when I'm
Like,
pointing out
that's
the straw
conflating
man-
my job with like what are you talking about?
Wait, hold on. I am pointing out the straw man arguments that you use in the video to represent my position. You tell me, well, those straw mans don't count; they're just comedy. And I'm accusing you of hiding behind comedy.
No, they count. You're more than welcome to refute them, but like you're coming at me like I'm really making a very
When I tried to refute them earlier, you told me that I could.
Encroaching on your turf. Like this isn't gonna
it's
hurt
not
you.
about turf.
You
We
know
don't
that.
occupy the same space, and I don't give a fuck about turf. I don't even know what you mean by that. When I tried to attack one of your points earlier, you hid behind the idea that it was comedy. You told me, oh, well, the big words part, that was just a joke. So my next question was to ask you.
You did come in here and literally set ground rules about your big fucking words, dude.
I didn't set ground rules about my big words. I said
No,
ground
you
rules.
didn't. Don't fucking say you didn't.
The ground.
Shut the fuck up. Shut
Holy
the fuck
shit.
up. No, absolutely not. No. Absolutely fucking
The
not.
ground rules that I said in here.
You came in here. No, you said ground rules, guys. I use really big words, and if you don't get those words because they're obfuscating my fucking arguments, no, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
You literally in your video accuse me.
You're backpedaling, dude. You're
I'm not
backpedaling. Stop it. You're
Holy
backpedaling.
shit. Oh my god. Why couldn't you just act like this the first time we talked instead of like leaving your little comment on my video? I'm really happy to talk to you again. Should be fun in the future.
After we talked, that fucking sucked.
You saw a lot of things before we talked that sucked, and guess what? When you came on, you ran away from every single point. That's why even right now, you can't point out a single fucking tweet that I've made that you disagree with, because you know that you can't disagree with anything on substance. That's why you make a dumb little video with all your cute little fucking straw mans.
Every time you use an ableist slur, I disagree with that.
That's something. Do I do that on my Twitter?
You use fucking like you use spurging. You use
Okay,
fucking
I have
all
said
that
spurging
shit.
before. I try not to, but for the most part, I don't really think I use ableist slurs on Twitter. It's actually something I've tried really hard to stop over the past years. Do I use like retarded or autistic on my Twitter? I really don't think I do. I might have like once or twice in the past like year or two, but I don't think I do that very often. I think that's like a really bad point. Like even Alabrel uses spurg. That's not a defense for it, but
okay, that's the reason I brought that up. Is that's an easy one to remember. I can't fucking keep track of your fucking Twitter all day, dude.
Okay, so we have nothing on Twitter that I've said that we actually agree with, other than an appeal to maybe I've said ableist slurs before, which we don't know.
Let me go to your Twitter then. Here we go.
How's everyone doing today?
Well, my problem is just that, like, this is a problem that I have, and I ran into the same things with the alt-right, right? Is that people come on and it's like, oh, everything you say is so wrong and ill-informed. It's like, okay, well, if you actually have that opinion of me, I'm curious, what position do I have that, like, you feel like I don't have information or I don't have a good opinion on? And then nothing. It's always nothing. Basically, there's this character, I'm this big boogeyman in your head that just comes out as this, like, evil, hateful monster that has nothing of substance to say, but then when you try to engage with everything, I turn into, like, this shadow warrior that becomes untouchable somehow. Like, you can't say, like a single...
Do you really think that everything you've said here is that good?
I haven't said anything of substance here yet. No, we haven't even started talking yet.
Okay, so what substance do you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about your video. I thought that's what we were here for. But now you're telling me half the video is comedy, so it's not worth addressing. So I'm not sure what we're talking about.
God. Okay, sure. Like, okay, you want to talk about which things specifically are parodying you in the comment video? Yes, you do use big words. You came in and you literally said that. Like, you came in and literally made an example of that thing. That's parodying you. What else do you want to talk about?
That's not. I came in here and I said that if you think I'm using big words, if you think I'm using a sneaky...
that is you doing the thing that I literally fucking... Like, just saying the words big words to make fun of people who use big words to sound smart is the same thing as you coming in here and saying, ground rule, guys, if I use big words and it confuses you... No. Are you nuts? Are you absolutely actually nuts?
It's... Wait, hold on. Wait, the Serfs. Do you think he's correct? Or...
Sorry, I was catching up with chat. But
okay, hold on. I want to present this argument. Hold on. I need to present this argument to you, and then you can. I'm going to trust on you to moderate this in a fair and unbiased manner. Okay?
Oh, I'm the moderator now. Nice.
Sure.
This is fun.
Or wait, or Lucid, are you the moderator? Fuck.
I'll
Or
moderate
Eva
this.
is in chat. She can come in here and moderate this. Okay? I trust Eva if she wants to. Okay?
It's they.
They. Fuck. Okay. They can come here and moderate if they wanted to. Okay? Okay,
Yeah,
so
but anyways, yeah, I'll moderate.
Okay,
Just
sure.
present
So
it.
here's my general thing. Okay, so one of the caricatures that Peter made of me in his video is that he said, oh, big words, like I use big words to make arguments confusing or whatever. So when I came in here, now, this is one of my big triggers, because people will do this after performing not as well in a conversation with me, where afterwards they'll take to Twitter and they go, oh, Destiny uses debate tactics and big words and talks over people, blah, blah, blah. So usually when I come into a conversation, and you can go back and look at every one of my debates, I usually go, hey, if I ever use an analogy that doesn't make sense, if I'm talking too much, if you feel like I'm gish-yelling you, if I'm saying big words, then go ahead and stop me. Tell me if something doesn't make sense, and we will clarify. And so that's what I'm saying. Peter's saying that, yeah, go ahead.
But I'll explain to you, coming into a conversation without, maybe for me, myself, not knowing that reference, it sounds a little condescending. It sounds like a...
Oh, sure.
Right?
If you don't know the reference, I agree. But so the reference is, and Peter should know this, in Peter's video, when he's making fun of me as a character, one of the things he goes is, oh, and here's big words, so that I can win the argument, I just use big words. So that's what I mean.
I just said the words big words, and then I did a bit.
Sure, but that's the implication, is that I'm just using big words to win an argument without actually knowing what they mean or having like...
It's not necessarily to win an argument, because you weren't arguing yet. You hadn't brought me onto the screen. like
Okay, it's to jerk myself off. It's to circle jerk.
exactly.
It's to look
There you
good. Yeah, sure. So what I did when I came in here was I set the ground rule. If I say something that sounds like a big word or something that you have a problem with, stop me immediately, and then we can have a conversation about it. Rather than later taking to Twitter and going, oh, he just used big words to try to confuse me. I think that's a fair way to start a conversation so that I don't get accused of this later again, like I do by so many people.
Yeah,
that
but you literally came in and you said ground rules, guys. If I use big words that are too big to understand, and you did say something akin to that. You did absolutely say, if I use words that are too big to understand, which is a means to dress the people that you're addressing down.
I'm being a bit condescending, sure, but it's in
Correct.
response to your video saying I just use big words to sound smart.
Well,
I think
mean,
my condescension is warranted.
You literally
Wait, when you come in, what are you fucking Back to the Future now? Did you know that I would come into this conversation doing it, and that's why you loaded the point in your fucking video? What do you mean?
Well,
you can't use my behavior.
behavior.
You can't. Yes, I do it all the time. I go into a conversation starting, and I say, if I use an analogy that confuses you, if I use a term that confuses you, and I even do the same to I even grant the same to my opponents. This is why I start out debates saying when somebody says like, oh, like I'm an anarcho-intersectionalist communist. Okay,
So
well,
you're
what do you
saying
mean
is
by
that
anarcho?
I can't make fun of that.
I'm saying that when you make fun of that, the implication is that I try to win arguments just by using big words in an illegitimate fashion. So if you're going to make that claim about me, of course I'm going to push back against it.
That's not the implication. The implication is that you're using big words because it makes you look better. It has nothing to do with an argument or a debate. It's literally just making fun of people who use big words.
This
Like,
is like
as a
so
means to- as a means
reductionist
to
and
represent
a
themselves.
distinction without like.
That's because you're arguing with comedy, dude.
Okay, so it's
Like, yes, comedy has points. It makes points. But at the same time, it exaggerates those points to make people laugh.
so what is the original point? That I just use big words to sound smart, and then
The
we.
original point is that many people use words to sound like they're smart, and you are one of those people.
Okay, well then let me go ahead and clarify my original ground rule. If you think I'm using a big word to sound smart, then stop me right after the big word and I'll use a smaller word so that I'm not trying to sound smart. Is that fair?
But, okay, so what you're just saying right there, though, is, hey, I need to use smaller words to appeal to you, who are apparently stupid.
Apparently, if you accuse me of using big words, then yeah, I'm a 3-year music school dropout. If I'm using words that are too big for you, then fuck, man. I don't know what to. Aren't you like a book author or some shit? Shouldn't you?
Using words to represent yourself a certain way. It has nothing to do with what I can and can't understand.
Okay. Well, if I use big words in a bad way, tell me and I'll stop using big. I'll find other big words. There. Is that okay?
All right,
Is that
all
not
right,
condescending?
So if you guys want me to moderate this, maybe I will moderate this, right? Because I think you guys are getting caught up in right now.
You think?
Well, I mean, it is.
It's
It's like a
it's
serious
evolved into
debater arguing with
semantics
somebody
about
making
discussion,
jokes.
right?
Like, yes, the jokes do make a point. Like, I intend to make a point, but like at the same time, like there's only so many ways that you can actually bring it down to a real point. Like,
Sure.
you can't.
Okay, wait. Can Lucid? I thought he was the moderator.
I can. Well, so here's the thing. You guys are arguing about semantics right now, right?
Yep, we
Like,
are.
We can definitely understand that. Like, sure. Like, the comment shouldn't have been made. It felt condescending. Great. Where do we get to from here?
Okay, sure.
What is your
Yeah, so
what's your
we'll-
base understanding, Destiny, of the video?
Well, I wanted to just walk through. I mean, like
Line
most of the points, most of the arguments are presented in a highly reductionist manner that totally miss the
Okay.
point of everything I'm saying. And then some of the factual arguments that are brought up later are either horrendously mischaracterized or done in a poor fashion, or they're just factually incorrect.
Sure.
Okay, but I want Lucid Fox to moderate because I want Serfs to help Peter because he's going to need it in this conversation. That's why I don't want Serfs moderating. I want him to be
You don't
available to
get
help
what
Peter.
you're- Okay, so you understand what you're doing then.
What?
You have to. Like, you're being made fun of for doing that. That's the whole video.
The video is making fun of me for.
That is the amount of you that's in the video.
Okay, that's
You-
great.
that
Then you're going to
is
make
the
me
amount
look
of-
like a joke in this conversation. That's great. Let's start. Okay. Okay. Are you ready?
You are one.
Okay, that's great. All right, are you ready to go down the? Are we ready to go down the list of all the straw man claims you make against me, and then we can talk about them all if you want? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so the first point that you bring up, I'll try to do my impression of your impression of me, okay? Democracy would be great if only people were smart, right? I think that's about accurate. So,
I mean, that's fair. That's a good word.
sure, okay. So my general point on this, you actually completely agree with, and you echo throughout the rest of the video, that people generally don't have the wherewithal to make good decisions democratically because they could be misled by corporations, by government figures, by
No,
other
not
people.
because they can be misled, but because the environment is entirely controlled by corporations. It
Okay.
is a different point.
Cool. I agree 100%. And that's my whole reason why I think that leaving everything to democratic votes are not necessarily a good idea sometimes. So that's great. We agree on this.
Okay,
So, yeah.
Well, here's my question. Like, here's the thing. I'm not saying, like, right now at this very specific moment, if everybody simply had a vote and everything else was exactly the same, I'm not arguing for that. I'm
Okay,
arguing
cool. Yeah, we'll get into those
idea
arguments
of-
later, but that's great as long as you understand that because you make a lot of weird appeals to like this biological realism or race realism almost.
So again,
yeah.
that's entirely not you.
Okay. It was just a guy wearing a hoodie with my stream background getting Twitch
yes,
bits.
You are one of the characters. You are a like there's a character that looks like you because, of course, this is framed through you. However, again, when making a character that you intend to address more than a single person's arguments with, maybe, in your opinion, there shouldn't be a character that looks just like one person. But I also don't think that.
Okay, so then the parts where I say, the problem is that people are just so stupid. If you try to tell people facts, they spit in your face. I'm reading all the things that I don't think apply to me then. Some people are just too stupid or too lazy.
Well, you do think people are stupid.
I do, but for the same reasons why you think people are stupid, that they're misled by other people. They don't have access to good education. They don't have access to all the facts or knowledge that corporations or government or whatever can mislead them about things.
Sure.
Which we agree on. Okay. Do you think that I believe that people choose to be lazy?
No, that is a Ben Shapiro point.
Okay. And do you think that I think that stupid people are having babies with other stupid people to make...
No, that is actually a number of people from Twitter point that I can't even begin to start with.
Okay,
I've
cool.
seen that argument so many times.
Okay, so the big words one was comedy, I guess?
That's
you. Okay, comedy / me. Do you think that I believe that people pick their bad jobs, or is that a Shapiro talking point?
That is definitely, like, that's a verbatim. The you problem thing is actually directly
that's
from
literally from a video from him a couple weeks ago. Sure.
Why didn't you use Ben Shapiro as a representative for this video instead of me?
Because Ben Shapiro won't answer.
Okay, well, so then half of these with me in the back. Okay, this is a real intellectually honest video so far. All right, that's great. So 90% of the shit brought up in the beginning was either comedy or not related to me whatsoever. All right.
Well, okay. Wait a second though.
Okay.
You take a dig at Peter there by saying that it's not intellectually honest so far, but again, you're missing the point of. And again, I could be completely off base. Correct me if I am. But if we're talking about something, a video made in effect a parody that is not made in a direct dig that says, hey, by the way, this is why I think Destiny is wrong. Instead says, hey, I'm going to cover the talking points of certain figures out within the world that I disagree with. You can then understand that perhaps he's not trying to represent you specifically.
What do you think the understanding of the audience is when they come away from a video like that? Do you think that they see it as what?
But again, like, you're not pushing on the audience. So the given audience of the video is not looking at this and saying, this is Destiny specifically. In fact, most people are not going to know that it's you. Most people are not going to think that it's Ben Shapiro.
You really don't think that. You really don't think that people look at that video.
Well, you just said earlier that our audiences don't even coincide that much. So
I said that we don't occupy the same area, but clearly, like, this video is, like, very clearly, like, pointed towards me.
Well, I mean, there's elements that, like... I mean, like I said, like, you're the one who's going to answer.
Sure.
But you'd have to admit, Peter, that if like you're in his room as him, like he's
absolutely.
Part of it. Yeah.
Like, it's not. I don't know if people know this, but it's literally my streaming background.
Yes, I actually green screen myself into your room.
You know what? Let's check. I could be totally wrong. Let's go look at the top comments on the video. Oh, hey, Destiny is a guest in Peter Coffin's video. Cool. 226 thumbs up. Glad to finally see gamer representation of my content. Maybe that's not an appeal to me. So, I mean, you don't think that maybe people... I hope Destiny doesn't copyright claim this debate you just had.
I'm not saying 100% like I really even care whether people think it's you or not.
You don't care? So do you think you have a responsibility to the public that separates your intent from the possible harm that you could inflict on others? I'm curious, because you're making the gamer argument for why I should be able to say, like, fag is an insult.
Okay, so you think that I can inflict harm on you?
Of course, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we do it publicly all the time. Yeah, of course.
Significantly larger following than
Doesn't matter who has a larger following. Like...
Well, I'm actually...
Wait, hold on. I'm really interested in this. You think that because somebody has a smaller following than someone else, they can't inflict any harm on that person?
No, that's not specifically what I think.
Okay, because that was the argument you just used.
It's not the full argument. I want to
Wait,
hear
so do you think it's part of an argument?
It would be part of one, yes. But I want to hear what like, you think this video can do to you.
It's just more ammunition for people to misrepresent my views to other people, to make me look like I have views that are dumber than they actually are. That's the whole goal of this type of rhetoric, right?
I want to say yes and no, because I don't really want to say to you, like, the idea is to ruin you. The idea is to get you to maybe go, oh, is this something that might actually be orbiting around me? Is there any element of this that reflects real life in any way, whether or not it's exaggerated?
And you don't think
it's
me,
not
who
just
has a
you,
larger
it's
commie...
also-
I have a huge commie fan base that watches me because of how relentlessly I've attacked people on the right. You don't think that I'm aware of some of the negative stereotypes that might exist on the right? You don't think that I'm aware of a lot of the crazy shit that happens in these quasi-fascist communities, like the Donald and all this shit? Like somebody who has like a larger lefty fan base than most other lefties on the internet? Unfortunately, like...
Okay.
You're saying this like you're doing me. You're acting like you're doing me a favor. Like, Destiny, look, some of the things you're saying, you know, maybe people on the right might agree with them. Like, yeah, no fucking shit. I'm very careful with what I say.
Sure. There's another element of it though. It's not just, again, to talk about how it is not just about you. There's also an element of, hey, there's part of this person in all of us.
There's part of this person who happens to be a caricature of Destiny, who is the dumbest fucking neoclassical shill in the world. Okay, this is running away from...
I called you a neoclassical shill, though.
But that's the caricature of me. That's what you're basically making me out to be.
I mean, that has so many, like, specific economic stuff. And, like, there's not... I wouldn't say that there's arguments presented against you that are really specifically, like, neoclassical, though.
Okay. You're okay, let me say it in another way. You are presenting an incredibly simplistic analysis of economic arguments and attributing those to me. Some people would argue, well, this is a neoclassical way of viewing things. Right, so, for instance, saying people choose to be lazy or people choose to do their jobs.
Well, again, that is very specifically a Ben Shapiro point, and I understand that you don't like having that associated with you, but I mean, again. And I'm sorry to keep making this same point. It's not just you. I mean, yes, it is your aesthetic. It is referencing a lot of elements of you, but it is not just you.
But the only reason people associate this with me is because of bad faith actors like you. No one that has ever listened to any of my videos will ever come away thinking that Destiny tells people that they can choose whatever. I argue against this type of shit all the time. I'm literally a hardline determinist, okay? I don't even like compatibilism as like a philosophical concept. So to sit here and pretend that I would ever make any of these arguments or be associated with them, am I associated with them? Yeah, I am. But why? It's not because of what I say. It's because of how people like you attack me or characterize me or mischaracterize me.
Well, you know, I kind of... All right. I guess, sure, fine. Yeah, I'll take that, fine. I don't really have... Like, here's the... I don't really have an argument against you if, like, your argument is just you're a bad faith actor. I don't think that I am. I don't think that I made this specifically to ruin you. I don't think that I made this specifically.
Okay, real quick. I don't think
make like specific arguments about you.
Okay, no one made
to use your image on account. This is in fact a parody of elements of you that people will recognize.
Okay, but what you're doing is attributing a bunch of malicious views to me that I don't have, that are now going to continue to be associated with me. How many times, when I say, like, I don't think single-payer healthcare is a great idea, do people rally on Twitter, Destiny wants the free market to decide, Destiny hates fucking workers, Destiny thinks all people are stupid. Like,
okay, so what do you think is the alternative, though?
What? To what? Single-payer?
Yeah, if single-payer healthcare is not a good idea, what's a good idea?
A multi-payer system, the public option.
A multi-payer system. And what do you do when you choose between different payers? What is that?
What do you mean?
It's a market.
Okay. What are you
so
addressing?
Like you just said, like you don't think that like health should be left up to the market, but then you just said what do you mean by multi-payer then?
What do I mean? How about like the other dozen or so European countries that have a multi-payer system? So you have a public option that has a bare minimum services that are covered.
Sure.
So for instance, usually this means not, it's like all normal medical procedures
so
besides
like France.
Sure, like dental or vision like wouldn't be covered, right? And then you can either get insurance that gets you access to different hospitals or to elective surgeries or things related to dental or vision on top.
So
but
you buy insurance.
For some procedures that aren't covered by the public option stuff, or they can be, I guess, if you want to like have that level of shit. But multi-payer doesn't imply.
How do you pick between? How do you get the insurance?
It's provided by the government. For the public option, it's usually like a government-funded thing. Like, so there would be massive discounts for people that can't afford it, or be given for free for people that can't afford it.
What about the other insurance for the stuff that it doesn't cover?
What do you mean? Like, what about it? What about it? Like,
Do you get that stuff out of a market?
Yeah, I guess in this case you would.
I'm sorry, but like, you can't say like you don't believe in the market if like an element of the market exists in the healthcare system you're advocating.
I never said I don't believe in the market. I absolutely believe in markets. That's why I'm a capitalist. But I believe that market failures prevent us from accurately negotiating for healthcare shit. Okay? Which is why I think that the healthcare system that the US has now and before is an unmitigated fucking disaster. You need a government-provided public option that can set drug prices. Every other OECD country uses this. We have to get on board with it. But all the other OECD countries that use it don't all have single payer. A lot of them have multi-payer too. And both of those systems, both of those forms of universal health coverage are infinitely better than what the United States has now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree that France is an infinitely better system than ours.
Canada's better too.
Also true.
Yes. I have nothing to say to that.
Okay, cool. Then
Like,
we don't
in terms
necessarily
of
disagree. But when you put out,
relatively speaking, yes.
sure. But when you put out videos like this, it makes it sound like I'm literally going to say like, well, the free market gives the best solution to healthcare ever, so we should have no public option and no public funding at all. People should be allowed to do. What were the other people you had in your video? Was it Nigel Farage? I was like, oh, I would rather choose to do it with my own money rather than give it to the NHS. Blah blah blah. Right? Like and now you didn't use a caricature of me there, but like you're more or less associating my views with total dipshit like hardcore free market dumb fucks like that. Like when you do that, right? Which is not really anywhere near what my viewpoints are. Like, my economic viewpoints are, like, considered left in virtually every part of the world. Like,
that's not true. Nothing capitalist is considered left in every part of the world.
Yes, it is.
Oh, my God.
Yes, it is.
No.
Newsflash. Even in places like Sweden, commies aren't taken seriously. The leading party, even in Sweden, is the Social Democrats. Social Democrats are characterized by their acceptance of capitalism. Whether you like that or not, that's true. There are not all these European countries where there is a sizable portion of people that are unironically left in the way that internet progressives define it as being socialist or communist. That is not true.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I would be considered a social democrat in most European countries, which does put me on the left. Not like a lefty, like I'm full on fucking socialist or communist, but yes, on the left.
Sure. All right. Like I don't know what to even say to that, to be honest with you. Like
That's fine. Your initial characterization of economic viewpoints across Europe is horrendously incorrect and misinformed, and I corrected you on it. That's all I wanted to do. We can talk
I guess
about
what you're saying though is like the establishment considers a different thing left than what maybe people who are actually advocating for a leftist thing
Yeah,
are.
sure. I don't care what a fringe minority of people on the internet call left. I don't care what the
sure.
people
Yeah,
on BreadTube, what all the white college kids on BreadTube call left or whatever. I'm just saying that like the idea that people present me as like I would be right wing in all these European countries is completely not true. Maybe when the litmus test is whether or not you would literally eat fucking landlords, that's what considers you left. Maybe in like some small circles of very white, very male, very college educated, very affluent parts of the internet. Maybe those people would consider me right wing, sure. But in the broader electorate in America and in the rest of Europe, absolutely not. I would be considered left. Okay, do you want to go over the first big part of the first huge fuck up?
To be honest with you, I really don't.
Okay, well,
Like at this, like I'm gonna go ahead and say like everybody watching is gonna be like Coffin fucked up. Like he backed off of this. He doesn't want to do this, but this is useless. Like just you have to know that. I have to know that. This is useless.
do you ever get worried or do you feel bad that maybe you're so married to a political ideology that like a public responsibility
I'm
do you have?
not.
But you are. You won't defend any part of the video
ideology.
that you felt comfortable enough publishing using me. Why wouldn't you use somebody that you said you wanted me to come here? But now you're telling me
I
you won't
didn't say
defend
I
any of the
wanted you to
points you've
come
made.
here.
What?
I didn't say I wanted you to come here.
You absolutely.
I
I'm
said
sorry.
I wanted you to watch it.
Lucid Fox or the Serfs? Did it not sound like he heavily implied that he wanted me to come here? That's why he
no,
did.
no, he said that he
this
knew
was my
you would
idea.
watch it.
I was the one who messaged you. Like, hey, do you want to have a talk?
And he's in here. Did you tell him I was coming? I mean,
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I
He didn't-
agreed
he
to
didn't
it,
say,
but
hey,
like
bring Destiny over.
I'm
This is
definitely
a-
regretting it.
Yeah, he knew that you would pay attention to the video, I assume, but I don't think the main idea was to, hey, let me draw Destiny in debate, by the way.
Okay.
No. I wanted to have this conversation. I just thought it would make for great internet. This is good internet. I do have a question for you though, Destiny, just because I have you on the phone.
Yeah,
Now,
hit me up, buddy.
Yeah, of all these tweets, because I know people always come at you for your tweets being spicy and spicy takes.
They are. They're pretty provocative. I won't deny that, of course.
So you are debating a little bit, right? Like a little bit of this is to get some reactions out of people.
A little bit, yeah, but I believe everything I tweet. I'm not grifting, not doing it for money. Every one of my fans
you
knows that.
believe it, but you might make it a little bit more.
Sure, a little bit more provocative than it could be, like in a reasonable forum where I'm having a discussion.
It's film noir.
Sure.
So you might be exaggerating your points a little bit for effect.
Slightly, sure, yeah.
Oh.
That's not what you're doing in your video. You're totally mischaracterizing and misrepresenting.
Here's the thing. You like.
Wait.
Sorry.
Like, so if I say something like, I'm trying to think of something I could say. Like, if I say something like women might naturally, so here's an unironic belief I have. I think that like in a perfect world, I don't think that it would be 50-50 representation across every job. Men and women would probably gravitate a little bit towards different types of jobs. Now, I don't think the division would be like 90% male doctors and 10% female doctors. That's probably heavily socially driven, but there would be some distinction. If you were to make a video and you were to say, well, I'm Destiny and I'm so smart, I know that all women belong in the house and they shouldn't even go to work. Do you think that that's just an exaggeration of my point, or do you think that it like totally mischaracterizes what I believe? Because you're doing that and you're saying, well, I'm just exaggerating it. What?
I am not saying that is a ridiculous. Like you set up. I don't even know what to like. You literally just said like, okay, so explain the context of why women are in different positions here.
What do you mean?
You know, never mind. I gotta go.
Oh no, we can walk through all of it if you want. I'll walk through everything.
No, I'm done. I'm done.
Okay. Because all of your other claims in this video were equally ridiculous, but you try to say that they weren't about me.
That's fine. Like, let them be ridiculous then, dude. Go through your videos or your streams and just call them ridiculous.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Does anyone in here want to talk about anything else? Or?
Peter is hurting the cause, sure.
I mean, I think you are. Like, I think like this is one of the reasons why I got big on the internet is because you guys on the left absolutely suck shit at confrontation. You're not willing to defend any of your ideas. You can't substantiate anything outside of like a huge video circle jerk. And all you do is you mischaracterize the fuck out of everybody that disagrees with you. This is why I got popular. It's because I filled a void that none of you were able to do.
Okay, so what you've done here,
Yep.
Shut the fuck up. What you've done here is you've made me tired. Okay? That's what you fucking did.
Yeah?
That's all you did.
Okay.
I'm already emotionally done. I've had a full day. I'm intending to put my kids to bed. You have made me fucking tired. That's what I'm fucking right now.
That's cool. I'm crying for you right now. Like, it's so sad. Like, how hard your life must be, like, making YouTube videos. Like, yeah, that's so hard.
Right now. Laughing, putting the head back, laughing.
You don't think I have to deal with any kind of, like, blowback from the internet stuff that I do?
Oh no, I
think-
definitely don't. I definitely don't think that you've ever dealt with anything on the internet ever. That's my position.
Okay, because you're trying to play a pity card while you're contributing to like active harm.
I'm not trying to play a pity
You
card.
are. You're sitting here crying about how tired you are after you just made a borderline hit piece video on me. Like, come on, dude. You think I'm supposed
It's
to fucking
not a
feel
hit
bad?
piece,
It
you dumb
is.
fuck.
You're literally
Shut the
using an
fuck up.
image of me to construct like fucking race
No,
realist
I'm outta
arguments,
here.
dog.
See ya.
It is
I'm outta here.
absolutely
See ya.
all right. Good luck. See you later. I hope he likes the ad revenue from the video. What a fucking piece of shit. I can't believe this. What's up? How you guys doing on here tonight? Lucid Fox and the Serfs.
Hi, Destiny.
Destiny, you made him hit his
So,
children
yeah,
before
I didn't
bed.
Yeah. Hey, Destiny's chat. This is the Serfs TV. I gotta do the mic from PA thing. Are you guys ever gonna talk again, D? I know you guys
Someday
are
we
having
will,
some
I'm sure.
conversations.
Oh,
Yeah.
You avoided me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
can
can talk about this to you now, Destiny. Are
Yeah.
you gonna talk to Ben Burgess? Because he's upset.
We talked once before. Maybe we'll talk again. I don't know what the fuck we would even have to talk about. I saw him talking in some Twitch clip where he was saying some real fucking stupid shit, but I imagine we'll probably talk about it. He'll back off of it completely, and then he'll go back to making fun of me on Twitch clips like every single lefty seems to do. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else? I mean, yeah, it's very frustrating to me because like I believe like in
Epstein.
everything I say, and I spend like a great deal of time in all of the arguments that I make. I have huge gaps in my knowledge. My historical knowledge is fucking abysmal. Okay, like there are huge gaps that I have in my knowledge. But when I have like a gap in my knowledge, I try to shore it up. Like I'm a 3-year music school dropout. Okay, and then I've been playing video games professionally for 10 years. I don't do this like I don't have like an authorship behind me. I don't write books. I don't like fucking have a PhD. I don't even go to undergrad for political science. Okay, so there's definitely gaps in my my knowledge. But I do put a lot of work in what I do. And it's very strange to me to see the same anti-intellectual attacks from the left now that I saw from the right. Like, what he just said to me earlier, like, you've literally got a word pad out. Like, what, am I supposed to be insulted by that? Like, yeah, I put a lot of work into what I do. Like, is that supposed to make me feel bad? Because that's the same thing that the people on the alt-right said to me. Like, oh, well, he's such a loser. He spends time, like, researching his points. While unironically, at the same time, going onto subreddits later, going like, Destiny doesn't read enough. Like, okay, well, which is it? Like, do I be a fucking nerd that prepares his arguments? Or, you know, am I just supposed to, like, agree with you on everything? Like, it's all of this is, like, very fucking frustrating to me. But...
So yeah, you seem to have a pattern of being a set of people talking one way, or at least expressing themselves in...
Wait, you're...
you think it's two-faced, right? Is that it?
It's, yeah, a little bit. Like, like, if you disagree with something I say, and, like, a lot of people feel it as condescending. I was condescending at the beginning of this, because I hate that big words argument. But, like, I do say at the beginning of every debate, like, hey, if I say something that you disagree with, or if I say something that, you know, sounds like bullshit, like, call me out on it immediately. Like, and this happens in all of my debates. Like, my fans will go through and, like, oh, who talked more? It's always the other person. It's like 60% of the time they talk. And then they come out and accuse me of gish galloping. Or, like, they interrupt me, like, 50 times, and I interrupt them, like, twice. And they say, like, Destiny cuts people off all the fucking time. I did hear more than normal, sure. But, like, it's just frustrating that, like, nobody will ever deal with the content of my arguments. They just make these vague appeals to, like, my my Jewish debate tactics they say on the right, or on the left they call me a gusano, a Cuban worm that's just trying to defend the Cuban aristocracy, I guess. And then I'm using all these, like, debate tactics and shit.
Can I offer you some honest criticism?
Yeah, fucking go for it, dude.
Cool. Like this is not for this is just literally to tell you, like, to an analytic.
Yeah, go. You're not gonna hurt my feelings. Don't worry, dude. Go for it.
Right. I think one of the things that you work in a lot of the time is absolutes. We try to when you say something to someone, then it gets refuted, or maybe, like, at that point within the debate, maybe you don't see eye to eye. Maybe like we're done with that point in the debate, right? Like, we're done with that talking point. You'll then try to double down on absolutes and say, see, this is the problem. No one ever wants to, like, engage intellectually on that point. Like, so you'll add an addendum to, this is why you lost, by the way. So I think you could understand that a lot of people on the left might see that as kind of static. Like, okay, well, I was just trying to get in a discussion with someone, but at the same time, I wasn't looking to get attacked. And that can turn into a provocative measure that then draws people into saying, like, all right, fuck this shit.
Well, so, like,
right?
the problem is, like, when I have arguments with people, so for instance, like Mike from PA did this, is when I have an argument with somebody, oftentimes what will happen is, let's say that I have an argument about rent control, okay? I'll say, like, hey, I think rent control is bad. And they'll say, oh, well, rent control is good. They'll bring up one point. Well, rent control helps poor people. And I'll say, well, no, it doesn't. And they'll go, okay, well, maybe not, but it prevents rents from increasing on people that live there. Well, no, it doesn't. Okay, well, maybe it'll help. Well, they'll bounce from point to point to point to point. And if I don't actually establish, like, okay, well, this was wrong. This is not true. This is, and
that's totally fair. But
okay.
like I said, like, my critique, like, I'm not asking you to defend your point. I'm not asking you to apologize for it at all. I'm just giving you my honest criticism of, I think that's something that you do in discussion a lot that will draw ire from people. Like,
well, but that's fine.
No one likes to hear that thing, like, say, this is what always happens, because that ends up more often than not being a provocation into another conversation that's going to draw down the current debate.
Well, so am I just supposed to let somebody walk away with, like, bad points? Like,
that's why you'll end up seeing bad faith measures then, because people will be like, well, wait a second, you just fucking attacked me on that. That's bullshit.
Well, of course, we're having a disagreement. I'm attacking your points. I'm going to establish if they were right or wrong by the end of our discussion.
I get that, but it's basically saying, like, hey, you were always wrong, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
There's no time in which you were ever going to be right. Right.
Well, what do you? I mean, like, depending on the topic that we're talking about, yeah, that's my goal. That I believe in what I believe in, and I'm going to try to make the case for that. And if the other person can't, then I want to establish that they haven't done that. That's my whole goal in a conversation.
And I get that. I'm just literally giving you the criticism of, it's okay to make sure that someone's wrong, but more often than not, you'll also go into the field of, well, let's make sure they're ultra wrong. You know,
yeah,
like, just a thing to think about, man.
Yeah,
like, I'm not.
I'll say this based on the conversations that we've had, Destiny. I know afterwards you said I was hiding, right? So
hold on, your mic cut off. That I said you were hiding what?
Are you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I hear you fine. I said last time we had a talk, I said I was hiding my power level, right, in our conversation.
Oh yeah, it's possible. A lot of people do that. I don't remember specifically what though, but yeah.
Well, I mean, don't alt-writers do that? Isn't there?
Yeah, they do it a lot. Yeah, crypto fascists do it a ton. Yeah.
Well, okay. So, yeah, I wasn't hiding my power level. I was just trying to have a
Okay.
that I know if I was to get to a certain point in that conversation, you'd obviously shut it down, right? Like I was trying to find common ground. I think that would have been a more fruitful discussion between the two of us by trying to find things that we can either agree or disagree on. And then surprise, surprise, I found out that we agreed on a lot of different
Yeah, but
things.
there's a difference between like finding common ground versus like skirting issues, like saying like, oh, well, I'm a liberal when you're literally like a hardcore leftist. Like,
right, but I don't do that. I don't feel I do that either. So
oh yeah, maybe I don't remember
that's an unfair
specifically. Yeah, I don't remember specifically like what I disagreed with you. It's usually not a disagreement. Usually with lefties, what I notice is that like a lot of people present themselves as liberals. They say like, oh, I'm a sock dem, and then they're literally like defending the USSR like on Twitter the next day, or sometimes even North Korea, or China's regime.
Those are tankies. I'm not a tanky. Like, I
sure,
definitely do not
but like a
defend-
lot of people on the left will like make these like vague appeals to them, or will like like harbor these people in their community without like explicitly calling them out, and it just feels really weird. Or like Mike from PA is a really good example, or even Hassan sometimes. Like Mike from PA, his name is Central Committee. He's got like the fucking hammer and sickle shit and the red shit and the Soviet text, everything all over. And it's like, oh, okay, dude, but like you're not
Right.
really like, it's just a meme, you know.
As someone that's an entertainer, you have to understand what's performative, right?
That's fine, but I hope you guys say the same thing when like Richard Spencer or other people come out and they're like, oh, dude, like it's just a Pepe the Frog, it's just a Kekistan flag, like it's performative. Like you understand that these arguments, you would never let these float for the crypto fascists on the right. Why would you use them for people on the left?
Interesting.
Oh no, okay, wait, are you talking
Your mic keeps cutting
terrorism?
off. Wait, what?
Okay, hold on. All right. Oh, maybe it's because I'm bringing in Eva and.
Okay, no. Your
even
mic
if
keeps
you're
like, it's like your sensitivity is set too high or something, or.
Yeah, your noise gate might be cutting you out, Lynn.
Yeah.
Oh, let me double check my noise gates.
Yeah.
I came here to spice things up the real way. All right, Destiny, what's up, buddy?
What's up?
I have to go
gonna-
order dinner, by the way. So you all are amazing, but I will miss you all. It was delightful seeing you all.
I'm getting.
I'm gonna hit you
Yeah.
with the real critique, Destiny.
Yeah, hit me up.
You've got to learn to play League better.
Okay. If I could ban you from this server, I would. It's really strange to me to see like so many people on the left, like this is so ridiculous to me and I hate myself for it. A lot of people, I'm seeing this thing like this guy really doesn't understand how comedy works in the world, does he? These are all arguments that I've argued against when people on the right try to do it. Why do people on the left think they can get away with it? It's crazy to me. Like when we argue about like whether or not you should use homophobic or transphobic slurs, I'll never let like a context matters argument slide there, because it doesn't. We look at the end effect, not the intent of this type of language. But when it comes to like literal tanky iconography and shit, well, now we have to look at the context. Eat all landlords, that's just a meme. Let the blood run in the streets of the capital owners, like that's just a joke. Or like literally saying, like fuck the Hong Kongers, they're imperialist scum. You're like, well, fuck, like, well, where does it stop? Because all of the arguments I used against the right, I'm not allowed to use these against people that are like harboring tankies now?
I mean, I feel like a lot of that, though, is you are grouping like all of the leftists in together when a lot of us don't actually have that in our community. And like specifically, it's like I have a no tankies rule because tankies irritate me worse than anybody. It's better to debate a fucking Nazi because at least a Nazi will try to defend their shit ideas. A tanky will just go, LOL, you're just too stupid. You don't get it.
Sure, but like somebody like, so I haven't watched his content recently, right? But somebody like Sargon of Akkad was absolutely not an alt-right and was like barely conservative in a lot of ways. He was like I would call him
he's a classical liberal, and that's how he defines himself.
Sure, but that's like super vague. Like technically, like in the United, like most people, classical liberal can mean everything from like I'm a liberal to like I'm a libertarian, right?
Right.
Like,
So when he references that, he's referencing, I think, if you look back to the origin. Would be like John Locke.
Wait, hold on. Your mic keeps cutting out. It's triggering me. Is your noise gate like fucked up or?
Why would it be on Discord? Okay, all I was saying is that I think he's.
I'm getting mad. Oh shit! I'm getting so triggered. Hold on, let me calm down. What you just said was all I can say is that he thinks he's. And then your mic cuts off. Like it's doing it every time, but that's okay.
I think he was saying a classical liberal like John Locke. Going back and looking at that.
Oh yeah, sure. So Sargon, but my point is that Sargon is never like given like explicitly like not like Nazi talking points or anything like that, but he harbored a lot of these people in his community, and I'm very critical of him for it. Like, listen, like if you espouse a certain type of rhetoric, you're going to get a certain type of fan, and you must be aware of this. You have to know that you're empowering certain groups of people, and if you're not going to do anything to like stop that, well, I'm going to call you out for it. I don't know why people on the left would think that they're exempt from that when people use like fucking USSR flags and shit. And talk about like how the United States is pretty much the same as like the USSR or North Korea. Well, it's like, well, fuck, like you're doing the exact same thing that the people on the right did.
I think I can't speak to this because I'm just a social justice warrior.
Amen.
I'm trying to think of like a good response, but
Eva does
I don't
fucking social issues. I think you do too, mainly Izzy. So I don't think we disagree on anything. It's the people that get into the class and economic shit that I end up having hardcore disagreements with. But I'm pretty sure for Eva and
I
Izzy,
do also get into the class and economic shit, but I'm not as studied as all of the other people that you've debated. That's why I'm never going to come in and like challenge you to a debate on it. I never in my life until now was comfortable enough that I could have afforded to read theory, and I don't have any of that like crazy extent of knowledge. But I do like preach on class consciousness being a massive issue, and that like the grand utopian view would be a socialist society, preferably a moneyless society and shit like that. But that's like grand utopian for me, and I believe that reform's the only way we can get people educated enough to be there.
Yeah, that's possible. But like, I wish I could have gone into Peter's video more, but we couldn't because he ran away. But like, Peter did the thing where later on in the video, he basically says that racism is more or less here because of capitalism. That like, and like, these are arguments that the economically left people make so much that like triggers the ever living fuck out of me. But he didn't even stand around to talk about that, so I guess it's not worth bringing up.
Yeah, I mean, I would disagree with that one. I think in any, like the reason I don't like deal with fucking tankies and play with that shit is, I believe if we like had the vanguard and we had the revolution and we tried to create a communist state here, what would happen if like ignoring all the bullshit that we couldn't deal with and that we wouldn't win the fight against the government, pretend in a perfect world we did beat the government. What's going to happen then? Bunch of different sects with different viewpoints are going to form and war with each other. There's going to be a white nationalist group that wants their ethno state. There's going to be Nation of Islam wanting their ethno state. There's going to be fucking religious sects that don't want LGBTQIA people. There's going to be racist fucking rednecks. There's going to be the all progressive inclusivity everyone crowd, and none of them are going to agree on what the fuck needs to get done. And so, yeah, I would hard agree that like getting rid of capitalism wouldn't get rid of racism, but capitalism does need racism and perpetuate it further is the problem.
How?
Capitalism has to keep pitting people against each other.
Doesn't have to be on a race basis, though.
It doesn't. I guess if you wanted to get like down into pure ideology, it doesn't have to be.
Well, we could go empirical right now. In the United States, at least, and in probably most of the Western world, capitalism fights really hard against racism because racism doesn't pay money right now, right? That's why on YouTube and on Twitter, that's why hate speech. Yeah, right now, yeah.
But like you could argue that to an extent, but I mean, we're still like massively racially charged as a society, and like the lower class is pitted against different minority groups. And
to
then,
some
like,
extent, but like what I would say then is that like whatever economic system you have is going to be reflective of the underlying values you have. In a really racist society, capitalism would empower the fuck out of racist organizations. In a very woke society, capitalism would empower the fuck out of very woke. But I would say the same thing in a socialist system as well. In a
am I still maxing out Destiny? Can you hear me fine now?
Yeah, I can hear you right now. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So what you guys are talking about here, the class antagonisms that would be set up under the frameworks of capitalism, for example, they're going to be adherent to the poverty levels. Okay, so what you're talking about is you're saying that even under capitalism, things still will change, right? That is the market following the zeitgeist. That's the market following the people. It's not the other way around. So it's not as if these problems are changing because of capitalism. They're changing in spite of capitalism, even though capitalism is still going to set up those class antagonisms.
Yeah, so you can argue that capitalism sets up class antagonisms, but that has nothing to do with race, right? Like, I mean, in order to get your racial antagonism, it has to come from somewhere else.
Okay, absolutely.
I think so. One thing we perhaps could say is that trying to divide the lower class against the upper class, we have seen racism be used to do that, right? So by giving white people, I'm trying to think, I'm still learning on this. So
we've seen the people on the top keep moving the lower class to fight minority groups. That way they're not fighting the upper class.
So
yeah, but they have to fight minority groups. But in order to understand how that happens, you can't do that with a class approach. You have to take an intersectional approach to understand how. Why would a bunch of white people burn down Black Wall Street? There's money there. There's capital there. That's potential investment. That's potential consumers. How could you do that? You can never understand that with a class analysis. You have to be intersectional about it. That's my only argument.
Absolutely.
But okay, and then like your whole idea that because like society is moving towards that more woke and we're like fighting against racism, fighting against LGBTQ issues, like you see that on a fake level all the time. You see the rainbow from a company for 1 month out of the year, that then everyone who's working in that company, you'll see homophobic and transphobic slurs, jokes in their games or whatever product they create, their creators, moderators, etc. doing it, like fake pride for profit. You see that on like a racial level too. You'll see companies that wouldn't probably put fucking people of color up towards the highest
but
tier
if
of the
anything,
totem,
you're making
but they'll
like
act like they're there for it.
If anything, you're making an even stronger argument in favor of capitalism then. You're telling me that racist individual actors in a company are so enslaved to profit, which I believe they are, that they will make woke games even if they don't believe in it because that's what the market demands. This is my whole argument, that like markets and capitalist structures are just, when it comes to racial issues, they're functions of society. Capitalism doesn't dictate our racial issues to us, but society will cause racial issues to come in a capitalist market, the same way it would in a socialist system.
Right, but under the capitalist system, it creates more antagonism towards that because of the way the power structures are structured around poverty, and because of the way, just
but it's only because but it's only because poverty right now is structured a lot around race. But that wasn't a demand of capitalism. That was a function of other things in the past.
Yes, it's absolutely yes.
Capitalism building throughout the past.
It happens to do with history, right? But we're saying under this capitalist system, it's still going to exacerbate that. And in this scenario, in our history, happened to be that this is the way it went down. That it, white people happen to have the wealth and the property and the ownership.
Sure, but all I'm saying is that, I don't think we even disagree. I don't know what we're disagreeing on. Capitalism can be very woke or it can be incredibly regressive. It just depends on what the underlying people are. That's all I'm saying. So like, if you want to get rid of racism, changing capitalism won't do it, because you can be just as racist in a socialist system, in a monarchy, in a totalitarian system. Like all of these things could be just as racist.
Of course,
sure,
absolutely. And we're all, but you're getting to the same point. Dave, when it comes to capitalism, is going to exacerbate. It's going to make that worse because there is going to be a power structure based on wealth.
Wait, capitalism can exacerbate what? You cut off.
Racism and bigotry.
Oh, it can, yes. Or it could cure racism and bigotry if there's enough money behind it.
It can't work the other way because there's going to be antagonism.
It's only antagonistic to classes, not to races.
Absolutely. Yes, we're agreeing on the same thing, Dustin. You're just not getting to the end of the...
This is why it keeps cutting out. I'm losing it. Wait. Can you change like the server of like the server, like where it's hosted? Do you have a way to do that? Would it change everything? I don't know.
Sure. It's weird though. My chat is saying that we don't hear that at all.
Well, that's because you're streaming. So the cutoff is happening in Discord, not.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not happening through your OBS. It's happening through Discord specific.
So for the person in your chat spamming, how the fuck does capitalism fix racism? Look at all of the conservatives crying right now in front of Congress saying that Facebook needs to be made a public utility because conservatives are getting banned on Facebook and sent to DLive. Conservatives are getting banned off of Twitter and sent to Gab. Conservatives are getting banned off of YouTube and sent to all these other, that's capitalism at work. That basically, why are there black people in movies now? Black Panther. Why are there trans and gay people in movies? This is ridiculous. Well, yeah, because right now there's a market for it, and that's it. I'm not saying capitalist my argument isn't that capitalist companies aren't doing these things because they're so good and they love society and they're trying to help everybody. They just do it because there's money to be made there. And if society becomes more woke, then the culture is going to become more woke.
Exactly. So capitalism isn't the driving force. Capitalism isn't the one doing that. It's
that's my whole argument.
And the market is following the people.
I think the key word in your argument isn't about like the market and capital. It's right now is the problem. The factor that counterculture is shifting back and we're seeing a massive resurgence in white nationalists and in bigoted groups that hate every other minority they can. We're going to continue to see this shift in this pendulum effect with capitalism, and it's going to be the countercultures constantly fighting each other, that capitalism just keeps moving the pieces to keep that fight going. Right now, it might be kind of trying to solve some of those problems, but that's individual companies within capitalism enforcing their own TOS and actually responding to it, not capitalism itself. And I don't think it's going to.
You guys keep going back to this capitalism fixing anything. I agree. I'm not saying it is. What I'm saying is that your economic system has nothing to do with how racist or not racist your society is. That your economic system will always be a reflection of the underlying values. That if you had socialism with if you were to go right now and make fucking Alabama socialist, black people would be more fucked than they are now. And if you were to go to a super racist or a super not racist country and make the country capitalist, they wouldn't all of a sudden become racist. That your economic system comes after whatever your society's underlying beliefs are. That's all I'm saying. Capitalism doesn't fix racism or cause racism. It just is a product of your society.
But would you agree it exacerbates it?
No, it can exacerbate it or cure it. It can move in either direction. Like it's just going to be reflective of what the underlying societal values
within
are.
a capitalist system, and you've already agreed on this, there's going to be class antagonism set up by different classes.
Yes.
That is always going to exacerbate racism.
Not necessarily. That's only if the races are unequally. This is what I'm saying. You need another analysis. You cannot do this on class alone. You can't. Wait. You cannot tell me on class alone why black people are fucked by the criminal justice system. You can't do that. You need an intersectional approach. You cannot do it using just fucking money, because we've shown that even if you control for socioeconomic conditions, black people are still discriminated against in different parts of. Wait, what's incorrect?
Through the prison system, that is entirely about capital. They're constantly fed into, continually be fed into that cycle, discriminated against outside, marked as felons, unable to get a job, recur back to a life of crime, all to go to for-profit prisons that can legally use slavery.
So when police officers,
Destiny is saying here, from my understanding, you're saying that this is racial, right? So yeah, there is a component that we do have people who are being funneled into this, but it's specifically race-based for the most part, right? So you can't just look at it from a capitalist perspective and say this is racist because, right? Am I catching it right, Destiny?
Yes. Like, you can't just use a class analysis, because when cops pull over black people and execute them in their fucking cars, they're not doing it because he thinks he belongs to a poorer class. They're doing it because they're black. Or is he, for you? Absolutely. People don't harass this is like a really inappropriate, I'm not trying to call you out, but like when people harass like certain like LGBT members, right? They're not doing it because they're like, oh, well, LGBT people are of a lower class. They do it sometimes because they hate trans people, they hate bisexual people or gay people. You can't just analyze this on class. You have to bring in another type of approach to look at it.
I agree. I actually get into debates all the time with leftists who are fine with who go against anti-id poll rants and say that, you don't have to forefront like minority struggle, racism, or trans. Trans really gets brought up a lot in the like anti-id poll rants. And so like I completely agree with that analysis. But like my point of pointing out the for-profit prison system, you're right. When a cop pulls someone over and shoots a black person because they're black, that is like racially charged hate that's okay within this system, because this system is designed to oppress people of color and keep circulating them through, and cops are allowed to take a more aggressive stance against people of color.
Sure, that's great. I don't disagree with any of that. I don't think any of that has to do with class, though. It can happen in a socialist system. It can happen in a capitalist system. That's not a class problem. That's another type of problem. It requires a different approach. There are different power structures that intersect with different facets of your personality. You might face different struggles because you're a woman. You might face different struggles because you're LGBT. You might face different struggles because of the language you speak, because of a disability you have. And these require elevated forms of analysis that can't be reduced to class alone. That's my only argument.
I can agree with that. I hate class-only arguments. I can agree.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page there. That's why I was kind of trying to summarize Destiny's, because I think I'm like, I don't know if y'all are hearing what he's saying here. We agree with this, and if we don't, there's a problem. But Destiny, how would you deal with class issues then?
I don't know if So I don't know personally if I have a problem with classes. If there's a lower class, a middle class, and an upper class, I don't know what would make that good or bad. So for instance, if you had a theoretical society where the lower class had, like maybe like in Sweden, right, where you have like universal healthcare, where you have guaranteed access to housing, where you are always going to have like access to healthy food and education, I don't know if I care about the existence of a lower class at this point. It seems like an okay system. Now, there are things that kind of conflict with that show, for instance, like just having income disparity in and of itself in a community without anything else can be a predictor of crime. So stuff like that kind of shows maybe having like a huge separation between classes in and of itself could lead to bad things, which would make me feel less excited about having different classes of people, or maybe you'd need to narrow them between classes. But intrinsically, class just isn't really something I care about. Like, you could have a society of people that are all middle class that don't have access to healthcare or housing markets, and it's like, well, what's the point? So yeah, the class just isn't something I care about or focus on. It's more like, what fundamental things do people in a society need to guarantee that they have access to the things that they should have access to?
I don't see how we're going to give everyone the access to those things with a class structure, because like a perfect example for this is college degree, right? In this day and age, and in most forms of employment, there are still some that take that level, right? But most degrees are just a show of status and class. That's it. You could afford to go to college. How many people do you know who aren't even using their fucking degree? I don't see how you could get equality or any kind of equal opportunity even with a lower and what we're referring to as middle class. But
well, so like in Nordic countries, they still have classes of people, right? You've got lower class, middle class, upper class, and they still seem to guarantee a lot more to their citizens than we do in the United States. They don't have people dying or going bankrupt because of healthcare reasons. Most people seem to have access to education, or the access seems to be better than it is in the United States. Housing doesn't seem to, homelessness isn't as big of a problem there as it is in the United States. Like, but this all happens with classes, right? And I can point to socialist structures that have existed that have miserably failed and have served to widen classes as well. Like, for instance, even the Soviet Union system where healthcare was guaranteed to everybody, there was still a system of favors where you had to either pay money or trade other products in order to get access to like a second tier or a higher tier system. So like, it seems like these problems with access to things can occur in socialist structures or capitalist structures, like just changing the modes of production or changing the economic organization of your society by eliminating classes doesn't necessarily guarantee better outcomes for your citizens. But it seems right now that even under a capitalist framework, Nordic countries do a whole lot better than the United States does. So we should probably move in that direction before considering some massive revolution that threatens our place on the world stage.
I'm definitely with moving towards that. I definitely agree. And I wish I knew more. Like, one of the things I always say, you own up that you lack in history. I lack in foreign policy and the way that foreign countries run. And that's something I'm trying to educate myself on. I wish I knew how to respond to this one, but I just kind of have to let you have it because I don't know how to. Yeah.
Sure, that's fine. The most common arguments given against me is that in a capitalist structure that exists in the United States right now, corporations and capital have so much power that there's no possible way you'll slowly transition towards any type of socialist utopia, because the actual people that run society or dictate the advertising are always going to make sure that people aren't informed enough to actually make those decisions to progressively move you towards that socialist society. That either the health insurance markets or some other large firm is always going to stand in the way with lobbyist money that's going to prevent like an actual democratic decision from happening that would move us towards a socialist society. That would be the counter argument.
Okay.
So I'll pass on absolutely nothing because I'm petty and small. So I'm just gonna say this. Steve, even under like equality of opportunity, even under like a Marxist system, even Karl Marx himself said that it would be impossible for you to achieve perfect equality of opportunity. Like no one even trying to achieve, whether that be a socialist or a post-capitalist society, would, I think, bow to that point. Like it's just impossible. We're going to be born different unless you engage in eugenics or something else of that nature. Everyone understands equality of opportunity will never be, no matter what economic system you're working under, is never going to be completely achievable.
Yeah, but that's not an argument against anything. Like, just like equality of opportunity isn't a binary; it's a gradual transition from one point to another.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So like you'll never be the strongest person you can be, because if you wanted to be, you should have started working out when you were 4 years old. But just because you can't be like the perfect equality society doesn't mean that you can't like move towards it, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I'm relating back to that earlier point you were saying, that even if you're saying that under this certain specific system that you wouldn't want to be able to, determine whether or not you can achieve these things. I'm saying even under a socialist system, if someone is building a different scenario or trying to envision a better world, they would still give you that caveat that they're not trying to achieve perfect equality of opportunity.
Oh yeah, I just want to know that what's being like aimed for is going to be better than what we have now. And you
absolutely. Well, that's what everyone wants. Whether
so
it's,
that I
it's
can
you
throw
or myself.
Yeah, of course.
That's what we all agree
But like
on.
a violent revolution that dramatically reorganizes our economy into something that has never worked before on the planet, that's a pretty big gamble considering like what the risks are for doing that. So I'm not usually behind
I
it.
agree with you, though. I don't think you're talking to anyone who wants a violent revolution.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I've hated our Twitter back and forth, Destiny, because I got lumped in with a lot of people who do want like vanguardist ideas. I'm completely against them. One of the main things I advocate for is free education, is because after college level education, you see a massive drop statistically in like bigoted ideology. You see people get introduced to different kinds of cultures, different communities, different races, etc., and beliefs, and you see people coming out a lot more accepting of those. So under my hope is the first things we get are healthcare, so people stop fucking dying, and free education so that they have a chance at better education and becoming better people, and then moving that towards better social systems and social nets, we're going to start leaning towards like social democracy, as much as that's a swear word with a lot of the commie community, and then from there progress in the future. But I don't think that'll ever be in our lifetime, and I don't think a revolution is the way to do it. I think a revolution would backfire almost instantly.
Sure, and I've said that a million times, that people that want like Bernie's form of social health, single-payer healthcare, that's way too extremist. It'll never happen. But if we move towards a multi-payer system, like a public option, and Americans are really happy with that, I could totally see us transferring from a multi-payer system to a single-payer system. I could see that happening in the future, 100%. And it might even be a better form of healthcare. Like maybe that would be superior. But like you have to look at like what's like politically viable rather than just like going for the most extremist option.
See, I disagree. I think single payer is the only way to go.
Okay, well, I mean, like all the voters right now seem to not agree because Bernie's completely fucked in the polling. But I mean, I guess it's not just over like healthcare that people are voting on, but no matter how the polls show, I'm still going to stand by what I believe, and mine is that single payer is the way that everyone gets covered, and without that, yeah. But what if the choice is between multi-payer and what we have now? Because single payer seems like it's too extreme to be on the table. Like,
if we had to start for multiplayer, I'm not gonna say no, but I'm gonna push for single payer that whole fight,
sure,
and and vote for multipayer if I have to. I'm really big on harm reduction, like, and that definitely includes voting.
Okay.
To everyone saying we have multipayer already, no, we don't. Like, Medicare and Medicaid are fucking pure garbage, and like millions of people are uninsured and still get sick and die all the time. I haven't seen a doctor in 6 years. I'm one of the uninsured people. Like, literally, this system fails a lot.
So I gotta ask this because I don't know. Is the overwhelming amount of Americans, do they not want a single payer system?
The unfortunate answer is that it's complicated. I didn't get to talk to Peter about his video, but one of the examples that he brought up. Oh, cool. So one of the horrible examples that he brought up.
And I do want to say before. I just want to say, like, sorry for yelling at you.
That's okay, buddy. It's all good. So one of the examples.
I'm not here to like. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yep. Don't get too comfy because we're about to go right back into the video because we just segued back into it. So one of the no, it's okay. It's okay. So I'm not going to be mean. Okay, I'm not being mean. But one of the examples that Peter brought up in his video was like, well, look, most Americans identify that climate change is a problem. Therefore, and then the non sequitur part is therefore it should be easy to solve it. The problem is that climate change, like healthcare, isn't a binary problem. It's not like this person is doing an action and we need to stop it so we can fix it. The problem is that even if most people agree that something is a problem, that doesn't mean there's a clear policy way forward to fix it. So even if even if most people in the United States agree that like universal healthcare is the same, that doesn't mean there's a policy way forward. It might be that people don't agree with banning private insurance, or people don't agree with a public option, or people don't agree that it should be taxpayer funded, right? Like there's a million different problems that could prevent you. Even if most people agree that there is a problem, we might never have a policy position to solve it, much like Brexit that exists today.
No, that's
he's got a kind of a point there, because like 53% on the latest poll I'm seeing, 53% of polled Americans are for single payer healthcare. But I would say the biggest argument is how to pay for it. And I think this is definitely where Destiny and I are going to disagree. But for me, it's pretty fucking simple. Tax the rich.
Well, I'm not going to disagree at all. The rich have the most to pay in taxes, or have the most wealth that they can pay taxes from. Now, how to implement that tax is a whole other discussion. But the problem with the problem you can see with things like Medicare for All is, so the most recent polling, this is probably within the past year, maybe 6 months, and there might be more polls about this now because people are asking the intricate questions, the nuanced questions. When you ask Americans, like, how do you feel about Medicare for All, that number is really high. It's like 80% when that's the question. But when you ask, how do you feel about Medicare for All when private insurance is banned, the support drops to like 24%. But when you ask, how do you feel about Medicare for All where private insurance isn't banned, but everybody is guaranteed insurance from the government, it rises to like 52% or something, right? So like the way that it's phrased, like the policy path forward can be very difficult, even if everybody agrees there's a problem. Much the same with climate change. Like you can get 99% of people in a room to say, look, climate change is a problem. And it's like, oh, cool, well, we can fix this. All right, guys, the first solution is you got to stop driving your cars. Okay, well, now your support just fell to like 3%, right? Well, holy shit. So even if people are united on a front saying, well, there's a problem, that doesn't mean that a policy way forward is going to be like a clear solution, that there's going to be like consensus around any particular policy.
No, I agree with that, though. Entirely.
Okay. Well, I mean, like you made the big argument that democracy works in America because most people agree that climate change is a problem.
Was that my main point, and you didn't get to quite the end, was just basically that it's not actually a democracy.
Well, but it can be a democracy. We Americans all agree that climate change is a problem. They just don't agree what to do about it. Like, there's a lot of Republicans
I
that would
entirely agree with you about that, though.
Oh, okay.
So I'm absolutely not going to argue that point against you at all. I agree. There are a lot of people who have a lot of different opinions on how you fix that, and I mean, there's no consensus on it. But at the same time, if there were not a corporate interference in the information economy surrounding it, it would be easier to come to a consensus, A, and B, if, for instance, it was less commodified healthcare. Like, to even go with the multi-payer example, if we were just simply less commodified in the healthcare arena, it would ultimately, I think, lead us in a direction where we're not having as much of a sort of lead discussion. Like, there's not a large amount of money going into advertising, or as large anyway.
So in your society where we no longer are capitalist and we're socialist, or we have co-ops or market socialists or whatever, would you ban all forms of advertising?
No.
Then why wouldn't a co-op be able to advertise for something the same way that a corporation does?
How do you... Okay, so what exactly is the relation that is expressed in the advertising? How is advertising bought and sold in a non-market economy?
So Exxon buys and sells advertising in order to bolster its capital, basically, right? To be more profitable as a company. So why couldn't a co-op like vote to do the same? Like, yeah, we should do what we do to protect our company, protect our jobs.
Well, I mean, okay, so they would vote, hey, I get to do this, but where do they get to do it? Like, what real estate do they have to advertise on?
You would just buy ads at a co-op owned like radio station or something. I don't know, wherever you normally buy ads.
What if the other co-op doesn't want that? Like, if it's not a market economy, what are they exchanging?
Oh, so wait. So we're out of a market economy completely.
For me, I would advocate out of a market economy.
So you would want like an entirely centrally planned system?
No, not entirely. You can have a democratically planned system. However,
wait. So when I say centrally planned, what I mean is, like, you're not using markets to determine the modes, like the inputs and the outputs of production, but you're using like some government body to do it. When I say centrally planned, I don't know. The Serfs might know more. That's
okay, so I'll yeah.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah.
I mean, I can't argue against that. That's like a whole other bag of problems. Like, the central planning problem is something that absolutely like has never been figured out by any country ever, and would require like an unfathomable or insurmountable amount of information and data processing. I don't know. I can't. Yeah. Sure. I mean, it'd be cool if we could centrally plan every part of our economy.
I'm not going to argue against that, though.
Sure, but like that doesn't. I don't get anywhere. Like, I can't make any good prescriptions from that point of view. Like, I can't, like, if I take that point of view, I can't apply that to anything today in society to figure out how to make things better. I'm just fucked.
So here's the thing. Like, what we're doing ultimately here is arguing idealism versus idealism.
No, that is not true.
Practicality versus idealism.
Yes, I'm arguing for the practical reality that exists today, and I would give prescriptions today based on what we could do. So, for instance, maybe the EPA can make statements about what fossil fuel companies can or cannot advertise. Or maybe we have things like cap and trade or carbon taxes that punish companies that pollute too much. So those are real policy positions that I agree with. When you counter with central planning,
with you on those policy positions, though, like within relative to this system today, that's exactly what I think that we should be doing.
So I guess my question is, I see a lot of people looking way, way in the future, and we know we can't get there anytime soon. And then I see people like Destiny who are saying, this is what's possible now. But don't we want to make our this is what's possible now and our this is what we hope for way, way in the future kind of come together so that we're moving towards a specific goal? I'm not sure. That's just my thoughts, but
I would agree.
Yeah.
I guess my thought here is that, like, what this is ultimately, and I would even go ahead and say pretty much every single one of these discussions has ultimately been like the argument towards or against, rather, the ideal of what X person has. Like, I come in and I say, hey, I don't want a market. I don't want this. I don't want that. But unfortunately, like, idealism isn't automatically antagonism. Like, it takes...
It is, though, when, like, because, so, for instance, and I'm just appealing to chat right now, but, like, I could appeal to YouTube comment sections or other commenters. Usually when people like me make these types of, like, incremental suggestions, I get called a capitalist bootlicker, a status quo supporter, liberal, fascist, neoliberal, like, defender, that I'm just defending the existing establishments and I never want anything to change. Like, that's usually the response from the left about any of these issues. That's why you see, like, all of these hit piece videos now made on on Elizabeth Warren. Like, people are saying she's, like, basically a Republican, she's a horrible piece of shit, blah blah blah. Like, you know, like, it's the same shit that you would have expected to see, like, like Republicans basically make against her, except now Bernie bros are doing it because she's like not far left enough for him.
Sure. And I go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I hear what you're saying, and I think maybe I'm wrong on this, but from my understanding, that's like a lot of frustration based on people who are getting left out and who are like, you know, we are losing a lot of people still, and there's the hope that we can do better. This is something I struggle with a lot because I'm like, is this possible? But also look at how much damage is still happening, and there's a lot of difficulty there for sure.
It's
I don't
so
know if I
adorable,
agree with
Eva, when you talk and then looking at Destiny's chat, everyone starts like doing all these little Eva is so based icons. It's really cute.
Yeah, this has been
based mean?
base means good. So this is my big problem is that I actually totally disagree with you. I don't feel like the lefties online care about who's getting left out or not. Like even BreadTube has made videos about this, about how insanely white and insanely college educated a lot of these leftist audiences are. Like these are people who at the end of the day don't have any intimate attachment to any of these issues, because at the end of the day the only thing they care about is pushing through like their fun like socialist revolution because it's like the biggest meme that they want to do. But when it comes to saying things like, hey, we have a Supreme Court that's on the verge of possibly rolling back Roe v. Wade, it'd probably be good to get a Democrat in. And the people on the left are like, well, no, getting Biden in, that's not any real change. That's the same thing. Or electing Elizabeth, I don't know if Kalinske specifically said this or it was replies to him, but saying things like getting Warren in, that's the same type of person that got us Trump. It's like there's like no meaningful difference to a lot of these people between Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump. It's all part of the same establishment, and it's either Bernie or some more left figure, or that's it. Like these people seem like they don't care about people who are getting left out or people who have like actual issues that they're dealing with every day. It's more just the socialist revolution.
The reason I had this view is because of my mod actually specifically has the view of the single payer healthcare that might be a little bit extreme for us right now, but Patch is hard of hearing and brings a lot of information around disabilities, and that is exactly why, because of the disability issue and his concern around that. So I can't speak to those people, of course, but I know that that is, at least in Patch's case, the reason why.
I think on the whole, like, we need to get someone left in, like I said it earlier, harm reduction really matters. So, like, while I'm going to scream that I hope Bernie gets it, and then I'm going to keep Warren as my second pick, when voting day comes, if Biden's the only option, I'm fucking fighting my pride and taking Biden. I did it with Hillary. I'll do it again.
I did the
anything
same.
better than the current shit status quo has to be enacted. Like fucking harm reduction really matters. Your point towards like the Supreme Court being against Roe v. Wade, fuck, in 5 days they vote on whether or not LGBTQ people stay protected in Title IX. It's probably going to be legal to fire me for being trans in 5 days. Like and Ruth Bader isn't going to make too many more terms. Like we really need to get Democratic control. But even getting Democratic control, I will say I kind of feel like that's a moot point, because getting a Dem in there now isn't going to help sway the bias on Supreme Court. Like we're probably fucked for at least a generation at this point.
Sure, but anything that keeps one more conservative judgment going up there.
True, I'll give you that.
For sure, yes. I agree with, like, here's the thing. Like, you'll hear me talk about how I want, I would like central planning. I would like that type of, and when I say central planning, I'm going by the definition you're using here. I would like that. I would like all of these things, but these are idealism. And I completely, I don't think that just 100% saying, hey, this is the only thing, I don't think it works. I think it's very clear that it doesn't work because, well, I'm here for Bernie Sanders. I'm here to advocate for him in the primary. I think that the single payer system is the way to go. I'm probably not going to be convincing you on that, but personally, I will absolutely vote for Joe Biden if Joe Biden is the Democratic nominee. I don't think that that's ideal. I am not happy about it.
I don't like the outcome of this stream. Like, the outcome of this is everyone's just like, well, fuck, I'd vote Joe Biden if I'd have to. Like, everyone, please stop. You're hurting me. I understand your point, right? But it's just the outcome is so horrible right now.
It is absolutely a primary right now. I mean, the reason we need to say these types of things is we're articulating differences. Yes, for me, I don't want Warren. If Warren's the nominee, I'll probably want Warren over Trump. I can't imagine possibly not wanting any of these people over Trump.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what you've had is you've had some of the like crazy jackasses. Like specifically, you see some of them in chat right now, and the people saying, I 100% won't be voting for Biden no matter what." And it's like, anyone who says that just instantly like, fuck you. Like, you're part of the problem.
Yeah, but a lot of these larger figures like play into it as well. Like Kyle Kalinske is a huge fucking shill for the Bernie campaign right now, and he's like started this thing where he's like dug in hard like on attacks against Warren, like and really ridiculous ones too. Like if you disagree with Warren on some things, like that's fine. There are meaningful differences between Warren and Bernie, and if you want to highlight those, it's fine. But don't go to these weird like bases like, oh, she used to be a Republican.
Like,
yeah, it's the prime. Yeah, no. You're not supposed to not baselessly attack people. Like at least like stick to real points. Like don't just sound like a Republican.
What's the attack?
I mean, we went through his last video where it was just like a bunch of like really dumb, like she signed on to like a spending bill and that was like a horrible thing, or like, oh, she confirmed the HUD director and that was horrible. When like and he's like, I don't even know why she did it, but like you can literally Google and search, and she's like, it's not the Senate's job to like turn down people, like that's the president's authority and you either confirm or not, right? Like it's just like a bunch of like really bad, like if you want to stick to like big like substantiative attacks, like then do it. But like I don't know, it just feels like really weird and digging into like crazy shit because people are like so anti-war now. Or like I see like a lot of people pointing out that she was like a Republican in like the 90s or something, and it's like, okay, I don't know.
It's further back. It was the 80s.
Sure.
If I remember right.
Oh, apparently Kyle brought up the Native American thing too, or that I don't even know about that. If he did that, that's even more sad. But like,
man.
Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, like you've seen like all the the Justice Dems people are like going crazy with like the smears, and it looks like they're indistinguishable from like Republican attack ads. That I just read that from a couple of my chat. I don't know if that's true. Maybe he didn't do that, but
I haven't gone and looked at that yet. But I can't stand Kyle Kalinske. He's one of those fuckwads that goes on anti-id poll rants, and it just annoys the fuck out of me.
Is id poll just basically intersectional people?
Identity politics, yeah. Anything to do with gender, sexuality, race, etc., etc., etc. Anything intersectional.
Basically, class reductionism.
Yeah.
Wait.
Really?
No, id poll is the opposite of class reductionism.
No, I mean the people who criticize id poll like blindly are class reductionists.
Oh yeah, they call it stupid poll, I think, right? Or id poll or idiot. No, I think they call it stupid poll, as usually was said. But yeah.
Oof.
People are saying my mic is too quiet.
You
I had
sound
to
good to
look it
me.
up.
Oh, never mind then.
Oh yeah, even Peter's made these tweets. He did a few days ago. To everyone calling Sanders supporters racist, can we get some acknowledgement for Liz pretending to be Native American until last year when she made a bet with Trump about it and lost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if people are calling Bernie Sanders supporters racist, then that is a relevant point.
Okay.
Am I going to like sit there and talk about that not relative to that point? Probably not.
I just don't think it's that important. Much the same way that like when people bring up
Sure,
the
I
writing
mean,
that
that's
Bernie
fair
made
point.
about like the sex, whatever creative writing thing he did like in the 60s, or I don't even know how old that is, about like the sex and having sex with a woman. I don't remember what it was. It's super dumb. Like I don't care about stuff like that. I think it's a dumb attack against Bernie. I think that the Native American shit is a dumb attack against Warren, but
I mean, I think that's a shitty side of politics, and I believe this is part of the two-party system just tearing itself apart to keep being shit.
Well, I think part of the. Sorry, go ahead.
Anytime I've done like door-to-door during primaries, trying to like help a candidate that I wanted to see succeed, Bernie on that list. I've done tons of others, but we'll keep to the relative combo. Like when I was out like promoting Bernie and trying to help him in the primaries, that he did win in my state. People out promoting Hillary would then like do personal attacks. I got called the T slur, the F slur. I know other trans people and LGBTQ people that happened to. The same thing happened when I was out for Ringelstein. I was pushing for a local state senator, and yeah, like you get disgusting shit like that all the time, and I think that's just a gross side effect of the two-party system. Hence my avid cries to like dismantle the fucking electoral college, because it's a just gross representation of us.
mm-hmm.
I do think we absolutely do need to remember also that that type of a thing is deployed relative to other things. That's something that I think is really important there. If I was making that in reference to somebody who was specifically saying that to support Bernie Sanders was racist.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, is that not a ridiculous? I like automatically to support Bernie Sanders as racist. Is that not as ridiculous as saying like it really matters if Warren was?
No, I mean, like, it could be an okay response, but I think you're a little bit more ideologically motivated than what you're saying, because literally your next tweet right underneath that one was about how Warren was voting for Republicans in the 80s. So, I mean,
sure,
but okay.
No, I'll have to agree with you on that. It probably is ideologically motivated, but I will also say, like, it is a bit ridiculous to say, like, automatically to support Bernie Sanders is in fact racist. Like, that's silly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree with that. I think most people would.
Who are you looking forward to, Destiny? Like, who are you going to vote for?
I would like Bernie or Warren. Both of them are to the left of me, but I think like politics in this country has shifted so fucking far to the right that I'm comfortable with somebody to the left of me being in the Oval Office.
Mm-hmm.
So are the John Delaney things in you just like, are those memes?
No, I think Delaney is actually like brings up like a lot of really good points. I actually really like him as a candidate, but he's totally unelectable. He has no enthusiasm. He doesn't have good stage presence. He might have like further. I don't know what he's like on foreign policy at all. But Delaney's ideas about marrying like market forces with like government incentive is like a super intelligent way to approach policy that nobody seems to ever want to do. Like most of Elizabeth Warren and Bernie's proposals for how to pay for things are pure delusional fantasy. But my hope is that like by the time these things start getting hammered out like in committees and then make it to like the floor, maybe they'll have like some actual way to fund them.
I mean, to be fair, Delaney was having a good time on that slide.
Yeah, he might have been.
Sorry,
definitely a better time.
Go.
Definitely a better time than Bernie was recently in the hospital. That's for sure.
I was trying to bring the tension down.
Oh, well.
Take my heart, Bernie. Take my heart.
Oh.
Are you genuinely happy about that?
About who? What?
Oh, about Bernie having heart surgery.
Yes, I want him to die. Is that what you want me to say?
Oh no.
Yes.
No, of course not. It's not good. You don't want any of your political people to fucking die. I do think it's a little bit ridiculous that like all of the political leaders that we're looking to today are literally like fucking 90 years old though. And I think that
I've said that multiple times. I don't get it. I
Trump,
also don't
Biden, Warren,
like minimum
Bernie.
age to like, what do you have to be like 40 years old to run for president?
35, I think. It's insane.
35.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
It's brand building. You literally can't get to that point unless you've built the brand, and it takes so long.
Yes, unless you've had a lifetime as a politician.
Which is why I will be running in 2024. I'm proud to announce here first. All right, I'm kidding.
Good one.
Go on.
I noticed that the people in our area, a lot of people involved are older, and like I walked into our Democratic club and it's like a bunch of old people, and I'm like, oh, who has time and energy to get involved? It was, older people.
Yeah.
Well, you also have to be like someone who's incredibly narcissistic to want to have that kind of position in the first place, and then dedicate your life to getting there. And then you have to.
I would disagree. I've thought of running, but like I've got piercings, and like my thing is, I would want to make the world a better place, and if I can do that through that impact, like.
But Eva, you're one of the good ones, okay? Like the majority of people who are becoming these hardcore long-term politicians. It's about a cult personality. I mean, you're pretty much.
I think you have to have money.
Well, that as well. Absolutely, you do.
Well, again, it's the brand building. You spend more time and more money putting yourself in front of other people,
mm-hmm.
and other people know you, and it's unfortunate, but I mean that's where we are.
And then you're gonna become the president when you're 85? Like that's what you should be looking forward to. If you really play your cards right and do this long enough, one day you could be the grandfather president.
Yeah, it is pretty unfortunate.
Wow,
Definitely a low note.
Destiny's chat loves Eva. It's really cute. They're like, she's too pure they're too pure for politics.
We're trying to get back to I don't know where like all the SJWs went, and Eva's like the only one left. Everybody turned into a fucking commie, and it's just drives me crazy. So,
whoa! I'm an egalitarian first, okay?
We latch on to whatever intersectionalists we can find. We latch on to them because everybody else has gone so far off the fucking deep end. Holy shit!
All right. So I'm here, and we're gonna get everyone together, and we're gonna sit down and have intersectional feminism 101 with Eva.
Sounds good.
It's gonna be good.
Okay, any other big stuff, or can I go scream at my audience now with my big words?
Well, I mean,
see, you are funny.
Yeah,
You
that's my
understand
job.
it.
It's my job to be funny for the last 9 years. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I would say, Destiny, if you ever want to chat sometime, let me know.
Sure thing. I'll hit you up, buddy.
All right.
yeah, it was a pleasure as always, D. Thanks for taking the time.
Okay, I love you. Be careful, guys.
Bye.
I swear to
Have a
fucking
good one.
God, if any of you come out of this making a fucking hit piece video, I'll fucking... Okay. Andy, I don't know if we've argued over this before. There we go. You're either about to get super triggered or super fucking amen, brother. Would you agree